Right, welcome back to another episode of Ear Candy with myself, Danny, and today in the building we've got Joe Goodall. What's happening, man?
All right, how you doing?
I'm
Thanks for having
fucking
me, man.
brand new. How are you? See, I started swearing straight away. We're not even 10 seconds deep and I'm already at it.
Yeah, I'm
beat
good.
that out.
I'm good.
Yeah, you all
glad
good?
to be here. Yeah. It's been a busy few days, but
Yeah. You were saying before we started the live that you'd done a gig last night. How did you get on with that?
it was good. It went well. It was laden with technical issues, but it's fine.
Right.
I was one of my first gigs doing I had a different band and stuff because the band I usually have are on tour with a different artist at the moment. So I was kind of doing all the technical stuff myself,
Right.
like running like the tracks and things, like backing tracks, and so I mean, let's not get too technical too early. But
No, that's all good. No, I like the technical stuff. I'm cool with that.
there was a lot of having to kind of wing stuff on stage and there's our tracks basically just stopped working. A USB fell out of my laptop because the sub on the stage was like vibrating the USB out of my laptop.
Right.
So I didn't know what was going on.
So is this an actual backing track with guitars and drums and stuff?
No, so I was playing. I had a drummer, I had a keyboard player, and I had another guitarist there with me. But
Right.
we didn't have the bass player last night. And then there's also like backing vocals and synthy stuff, and that's all on the tracks. So there's a little kid that was like dancing around and loving life at the front.
Mm-hmm.
And I was gonna try and get him to just like sing some tunes whilst I was dealing with the technical stuff. He got a bit shy. So basically, we ended up in the middle of the set giving a lesson on Ableton to a 7-year-old boy, and it's good fun.
Yeah, that'll go right over his head, I'm sure.
Yeah, oh no, it did. Yeah, but it was
What venue was it at?
it was at a place called Lunan House, Emery's Bar and Kitchen. But there's a guy running it. It's 19, and
Right.
it's his first time ever running a festival, and the lineup like it's pretty huge for like a first time thing. 250 cap.
So whereabout is this venue? Because we know we're from the same city. So whereabout
Oh,
is it?
sorry, this is in Arbroath. So
Oh, this is in Arbroath.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
I thought this was in
no,
Edinburgh.
no. So that's why I got back at 4 a.m.
Right.
because it was a bloody long drive.
I actually seen that on Instagram because I sent you a message, I think.
Yeah.
And then it said that you seen it at like 3 a.m. And I was like, oh, he's living the real fucking rock and roll lifestyles. I'd be amazed if he turns up. I was like, fair play to you if you do or don't. Fair play to you that you're here.
Obviously, got to turn up, man. But no, as I said, I'm really glad to be here. This is awesome. Literally, my life is listening to podcasts. Like when I have a part-time job as well. On the side, I deliver for Waitrose like, in a little van. So I'm just driving around Edinburgh, like listening to pods. So yeah, I love this. But it was pretty rough. We stopped on the drive back. Have you ever heard of Clark's Bakeries?
Clark's Bakeries. That rings a bell, aye?
Dundee, I think, mainly is where they are. 24-hour bakery.
24
hours.
What time did you get there at?
We probably stopped there about 3 a.m.
That must have been a bear pit at that time in the morning.
Well, you'd have thought so. I think the one more central, there was like 3 or 4 in Dundee. We went to one like quite outside because it was like
right,
on
right.
the. I was in heaven, man. Like it is unbelievable. You go in, and you shouldn't be there at that time, should you? Really?
Mhm, no.
And you go in, and there's just pies being just made for you.
Yeah.
I had a steak and I had a steak and black pudding pie and a Kinder Bueno donut.
There was one like that not too far away from Haymarket that me and my mate used to go to every Saturday night, and that was up until like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
But not only did you get a pie, you got a real life Royal Rumble as well, because there was always fights there. It was amazing. It was so good. You would see the steak pies by getting lobbed about the place, women screaming, families getting torn apart. It was fucking fantastic, man.
That's good.
They're the sort of places you expect that at that time in the morning when everyone's bevied, eh? You
Yeah,
can't just enjoy a pie. You need to fight and have a pie as well, eh?
Well, ours was probably way too civil, to be honest. We just rolled up. We were like, "Can we have a pie, please?" And then we left. It was, yeah, the closest we got to having a fight was they didn't give us enough napkins. We had to go back and ask for more. But no, it was class. It was class. But I would like to go to the one in Centre, like, and actually go in probably, I don't know what, like, going about 4 a.m. when everyone's just coming to the club.
That time in Dundee, that will...
Yeah.
You'll get a Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
You want a Royal Rumble, you'll get a Royal Rumble.
I should turn up, film some content, bring an acoustic guitar just like in front of everyone. That's how we go viral.
Or smack it across someone's head in the melee. I'm sure that's what would happen. Well, anyway, you're in here today to talk about music. That's what the podcast is about.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about wrestling if you want, but The main thing is music. So when I get someone in for the first time, it's basically just how do you get started in music? Just go right from the beginning, just work our way through.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it. How did I get started in music? Well, my dad is a guitarist. He's been a musician all his life. My mum is as well. She always gets a bit pissed off whenever I mention my dad and don't really mention her, to be honest. Pardon me. She's a flute player, so
right.
Wouldn't really
Shout out to all the flute players.
Yeah,
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. She would. Well, God, I don't know why I'm doing this to her. Do you know what? She's not played flute in absolute years. I don't think she's done it since school. My mum's lovely. I love my mum, but let's just fucking get on to my dad. Mum, I probably won't tell her I've done this, to be honest. My dad's a great guitarist, and he's got the sickest music taste. He's, as far as dads go, of folk my age, he's probably a bit older, so he's like, I think he's just turned 70.
Right.
So, and I'm 20.
He's got a good taste in music.
Yeah. Grew up, I mean, you saw The Who and AC/DC and like a bit after the Beatles, but actually, you know what? I don't know if he ever did see the Beatles. No, I don't think he did. But like Rolling Stones, all that, just like the classic music. And so I grew up on all that stuff. You've seen Pink Floyd as well.
Right, so how old are you?
I'm 20.
So are you 20? Right, okay.
Yeah.
Right,
so my dad was 50 when I was born. Yeah. So, you know, it's pretty, as far as like, I guess it's fairly oldish to have a 20, to have a kid. So, yeah, I grew up on like that kind of music, which just, I mean, I just remember me and my dad would just sit watching like live shows of AC/DC on like, on his laptop and stuff, and I just adored it from such a young age. I just wanted to be Angus Young running around on the stage dripping with sweat. I remember like, school and stuff, me and my friend Andy, we would like pour water over our heads like at lunchtime and just pretend to be dripping with sweat. Like, I just wanted to be Angus Young. So, but one thing was my dad's a right-handed guitarist, so I would always be picking up his guitars and just like, you know, good guitars as well. The trust he had in me, I don't know where that came from, but I'd be holding them the wrong way around.
So is he playing notes with his right hand then? Is that what you mean by right-handed?
So that guitar there, that's a right-handed guitar.
So you strum with the right hand?
Yeah, so the way you would pick that, are you right-handed?
Yeah, I'm right-handed.
So when you pick that guitar up, that's the way my dad would play it.
that's the right way.
So
are you left-handed?
I'm left-handed, so it's like the reverse. So you just flip it the other way, and the strings are the other way around as well.
I get you,
So that was from that. I think my dad probably encouraged me to try and be right-handed because it's a ball ache being a fucking left-handed guitarist because they're more expensive and no one has them.
Everything in life is catered to you being right-handed.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Mouse for computers, keyboards, everything.
Yeah.
Mainly for right-handed people.
I'm handicapped, basically, is what I am.
Is that a handicap?
I don't think so, probably.
I was going to say, I don't think you get disability for that.
Blue badge holder. Lefty here. No, so it does put me at a slight disadvantage in terms of guitar.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my dad, I was always picking up my dad's guitars, and I think just they knew from a very young age. I loved it. Like my dad, and I was never forced into music, and that is like something. As I was mentioned, is that kid at the gig last night. He was just obsessed. He was at the front. No one's forcing him to do it. Those are the folk that are good. Those are the kids that are going to grow up and actually do music and love it because no one's forcing them to do it. No one's forcing them through grades. No one's forcing them into piano lessons and learning songs they don't want to learn. It's just like if you've got a passion for it from a young age, if you just love it, and if you got support. I'm so lucky to have had supportive parents. I've not grown up in a really rich family where like everything's just given to me on a plate. You know, that would have been handy, but I've not.
There's nothing wrong with that either.
No, of course, but of course it's not. But I know folk that are more fortunate in that sense, and kind of it's a helping hand if you're able to have that like that access to the equipment that you need like that and I don't know, just you know more people that can come and buy tickets to your gigs and things. I didn't have that, but that doesn't really matter because I had parents that knew how passionate I was about music, and because of that, I think they genuinely do believe I'll manage it. You know, it's not easy, but having parents that really care, support you, I'm so lucky, and I'll always be. So grateful for
I
that.
genuinely believe that nowadays it's more harder to break into music than what it's ever been before. Like I know now that they say like, well, you can make your own album in your house and you can release your own stuff on Spotify. but if you can do it, a million other people can do it.
Yeah.
And then when you do put it on Spotify, they're milking you anyway. You're making hee-haw off it. You know what I mean? So everything's against you now.
Yeah.
I think if you genuinely had talent and you were good at writing music, back in the day, you would have been something. I think there's a lot of people around now, younger people, who are maybe still trying to break through, that if they were around maybe 20 years ago, they would have broke through.
Yeah.
Like, no problem. But I think because you're up against every single other person out there trying to do the same thing, I think it's more harder than it's ever been. I think it's easier to get your music out there.
Yeah.
But to make a living off it, it's probably the hardest it's ever been.
It's ridiculously hard. Like, it's so difficult, and that's why so many people give up, like, really easily or very quickly, or don't really believe in themselves. But I think you've got to have a certain level of, like, I don't even know if this is a word, but like derangement. You've got to be deranged to like actually think you're going to do it.
But would you say that the people who are giving up, do you maybe not think that they were only ever in it for the wrong reasons anyway?
Quite possibly, yeah. I think there's certainly folk that are in it for, well, anyone that goes into music for money is going to learn really quick.
There's nothing.
Or other reasons, I guess, is like ego. You want a bit of a... There's no better feeling than being on a stage and like folk cheering for you.
Oh, I can imagine.
You know, we did a gig in June to 1,600. Like, it was at YPI, so it was like to kids from like public schools that were all come along, and there was 1,600 of them in Perth Concert Hall. And we did 3 sets, and by the third set, like, they're going mental when we come out. I mean, it's mad. Like, I've been at gigs where you're in the crowd and your ears start hurting from like the kind of screams.
Just a ringing noise.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's amazing.
And I've never been the other side of that, and that was crazy. So like the kind of ego boost you get, that temporary ego boost you get from that is like immense. No one won't get that. You've got, like, it's unbelievable. It's the best thing in the world. But if you're like only doing music for that, like, Jesus Christ, that is never going to work out, because like, the majority of gigs I end up doing, you're playing to people who've never heard of you before. You're either a support and you're trying to build up, continue building your following, and so like your job is to get on stage and win over people that immediately. It's not to say that they're there at the beginning like disliking you, but they're anyone that's never heard or seen an artist
before. You need
before,
to sell yourself.
Yeah, they're there to be won over. So it's like anyone that's doing it expecting to just be like loved and be swarmed by women, or I've not been. And maybe that is the problem here. Maybe that's the issue. But I don't know.
I don't know, man. People throw themselves at that fucking, what's his puss? Sam Smith. I'd say that's more of the money talking than his fucking looks, because he's got to be the most ugliest cunt I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. What am I allowed to say? But
you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, okay. Do you know, I have never listened to Sam Smith that much. I've got a weird thing. Like, if there's some vocalists I just really just can't get. I just can't understand that. I've never been into him. But although he had an absolutely banging James Bond theme. What was that? Did he do Skyfall? No, Writings on the Wall.
Oh, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I just know that he used to be a nice looking guy in a suit, like Michael Bublé.
Yeah.
Women loved him.
Yeah.
And then he signed a contract to somebody out there, and they've turned him into this horrible, I don't know.
Yeah, now he dresses in balloons and stuff.
Yeah. It's just not necessary. Like, that time of all that stuff is past. Like, the shock culture, that's been and gone. So, like, now, I mean, he gets what I suppose he's getting the reaction he wants because people are talking about it and it's in the media, and I'm talking about it now. Not that I'm anyone, but it's just kind of like, it's been done a million times. You know what I mean? It's just kind of boring now. They're trying to shock people. Like, if you've seen it back in the day, it's not shocking now. You just look at him and think, what a twat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's just someone I've never paid any attention to, and I think that, I mean, I'm sure there's folk that absolutely love him, but yeah, I'm not interested. Like.
Yeah. Well, I remember out of curiosity the last time he played Glasgow. So previous times to that, he'd sold out like no bother, and
What venues does he do? Like, is he big enough to do the Hydro?
Oh yeah, well the last time he was here, he done the Hydro, and out of curiosity, on the day he was playing, I went on Ticketmaster, just to see like maybe get a ticket for that, and then had a look, and you could get a ticket for like £21.
Really?
And I was like, yeah, he's not as big as what he's made out to be. It's like you kind of think there's maybe some skullduggery going on behind the scenes. Like, is he a character? You know, is he a plant? That's what makes you think when that happens. Because I mean, I did get tickets for Oasis, and that was a shit show. Yeah, I can guarantee you, there's not going to be one empty seat there.
No,
and that speaks volumes.
Yeah. I mean, look, as I said, like I focus more on artists that I enjoy and love. I kind of like, if there's someone that I'm not interested in, I don't really spend a lot of time thinking about it. I think there's so many good artists out there, and there's a lot of, it's just, like every business, there's just so much dickheads. There's just dickheads everywhere, and there's like people with egos bigger than fucking anything else, you know. And there's people I know that are like that, and
do you come across people like that in your in your scene with gigging and stuff? Really?
Yeah.
So people who are on the same page as you, financially and the sort of level of the crowd that you are playing to, and they're walking about thinking they're God's gift.
Yeah.
Oh really?
Or slightly bigger.
Oh really?
Or kind of try and hurt you, sabotage you a little bit. Does
that go on?
I've experienced it a little bit. I don't know how much it goes on. Maybe I've just been unlucky. It's a tricky thing to talk about. I think it's probably dangerous for me to even go into it too much.
No, don't go into detail.
But,
don't go into detail.
It does happen, and I've experienced it, and it's, for me, it's really difficult because I try and come across confident, but I think I'm quite timid, to be completely honest. Like I've been stung, I've been hurt. The last year for me has been an absolute mess. The last couple of years I've just struggled so much with like mental health stuff and as well, and so I just thrive when I'm with people that are just nice, and I like, and
page as you.
Yeah, just yeah. Like yes, there's an artist, Natty Dread. She was there last night at this festival, and she's doing so well. I mean, she's got over 100,000 followers, I think, on Instagram and stuff. Like, she's huge. She blew up on TikTok over COVID and stuff, and so
one of the most down to earth people we've met, I bet.
The loveliest person on it. Her entire team are, and I worked with them a little bit, and we did a bunch of festivals. But there's so many good people out there. It's a shame though that actually, I think possibly in order to do well, you've got to have a couple screws loose, in the sense that there's got to be some sort of like crazy ego going on, and I'm just trying to like. Again, I won't go into detail of what's kind of going on, but like my granddad killed himself not that long ago, and then I've gone through a bit of heartbreak as well, like relationships, and so I've been feeling quite down in the dumps for quite a long time. But the music is like therapy, massively, and when you get to mix with people that are, as you said, are on the same page as you, and you feel safe around, and you can talk about your experiences and what's gone wrong, and learn from each other. That's the part of the music industry that I love. But as I said, it's cutthroat. You got to be able to take backstabbing bastards. You got to be able to put that aside.
Because I've always thought, like, see if I was in the position of being in a band and that ship has sailed a long time ago now. I'm 31 now.
I don't know, man.
I wish I could, man. I wish I could. I just make music in my house now. That's what I do. I just make electronic music in my house. I don't have to deal with anyone apart from myself, and I'm more than happy with that. Well, but I've always said, if I ever got to the stage of maybe touring or playing live or, brushing shoulders with anyone, I would just treat them with absolute respect, because my thinking would be, if I make a good impression and they become big, it's not that I'm using them. It's just, if they ever become big and they think, I've got a support slot here, it needs filled, who can I think of? Well, like Danny, he was really sound when I met him, and he makes good tunes.
Yeah.
I think the problem that you have, if you've experienced these people being snidey with you, if I was in your shoes, and it goes back to stubbornness, what I was talking about with Cryptic here earlier, was I would then be thinking to myself, I actually only ever really want to become big now so I can fuck them over. but when I'm big.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Yeah.
Because if I was then in the opposite shoes, so if someone's fucked you over, you become big, I would message them later on and say, I'm looking for a support slot. But do you remember that night when you were a dick to me?
Yeah.
You're not going to be my support slot anymore.
Yeah.
And I would purposely choose someone shitter than them just to make them. I'm really petty, man. Like but I think in that sort of world, you do need to kind of be like that. Like people need to get put in their place. If they're being dicks for no reason, then they certainly do need to get put in their place, and you just hope it is from someone bigger up later on down the line. That's what you hope for, man.
Yeah, man. I think it's just about like when there's a time and a place. I think, I mean, this goes back to like primary school logic, but sometimes you just got to be the bigger person and accept that someone's like that, and then sometimes the people that are kind of the most messed up and have the ability to do the most messed up things are the best people at coming across and networking really well, and coming across temporarily really well to the people they need to come across well to.
Yeah. We've experienced that in here with people. When you meet them and you think, oh, you're nice or whatever, and then the true colours shine, and you go, oh God. You know, there's an evil streak in you that it just came out of nowhere, you know? So I know that there's people out there like that.
But they're everywhere. They're everywhere. They're everywhere, and they're in every line of work, and they're in every industry. That's just people, right?
But that's it. Like you say, it's not just music. It's everywhere. You experience that everywhere in life with certain people. It's not just music.
But you just got to be able to move on, get around it, and mix with the people you want to mix with. I don't know if this is going to work out for me, but I'm going to make it work. And
you're lucky as well. You're only 20, like you said, 20, 21?
20, yeah.
So you're 20-year-old. So it's not as that like you're, pushing 40. You know, if you're pushing 40 and it's not happened, you would kind of think by the time you hit 40 that you're just kind of like, I'm just doing this as a hobby anyway.
Yeah.
If nothing ever came of it. But like, what would be obviously the goal is to become big.
Yeah, to be able to make a living,
isn't it? Like, you want to make a living off it.
Yeah, got to be able to. I mean, there's so many, the people that I work with that already are making a living from it in different aspects, in different ways. Like, you'll be a session musician, so, as in like you can play for other people and make your money there, and that's a great way of doing it. The problem is I'm building my own profile as like a solo artist, so being a session musician doesn't quite work with that.
Yep.
And that's where it gets really tricky for solo artists.
Do you know what I've always thought would be a good way to break into music? And it's not, it's not all about the glitz and the glamour in this sort of genre I'll talk about, but wedding bands.
Yeah.
They make a lot of money.
I know.
Wedding bands can make a fortune, but nobody ever really talks about them.
No, but this is the thing that I was just saying, like some of the folk I play with, my playback engineer, Lewis, one of the depths I had in last night, called her. They both play in wedding bands, and they're really successful. That's where they make their money, you know. You just got to find ways of making it work. But I'm obsessed with the music business because, as I said, like I know I'm gonna have to make this work, and so by being obsessed with the music business, it means I'm constantly finding ways of making a bit of income here, a bit of income there. Certain festivals we did just brought in tons of money, and then others,
nothing.
Some of the biggest festivals we've done this year, by the way.
But this is the thing though. Like, obviously, I wish nothing but the best for everyone. Anyone that sits in front of me and talks about their journey in music and that. But is there ever a stage that it might get to where you're like, I'm actually sacrificing my earnings later on down the line if I put all my eggs into the music basket? Like, you ever think like, it might get to the stage where I do hit 30 or mid 30s and I've never been in like an actual career because I've been putting it all into music?
It's
like,
you're
still young. This is what I'm saying. Like, you're lucky you're still young, but has that ever crossed your mind? Like,
of course, man.
Potentially that you don't want to. I don't know what it is you do for a living, and there's nothing wrong with doing that at whatever age you're in, but there'll be a bit of you that's thinking, well, I don't know, maybe I should have went to college or university or got into this sort of career or
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
Well, look, I'm studying music at university because that's at least if I can get the degree in that, then I can say I've got a degree. You know, I'm not really bothered about that, about getting a degree, but for the sake of like my family, I stopped drinking that, so I'm burping away. Jesus Christ, sorry guys. For the sake of like family and things, to keep them not too nervous, you know, as well. It's handy to know that I'm working on something like that.
Yeah.
I've worked in jobs since I was 12. Yeah. I've got a decent enough CV, like outside of music, but it's always a worry that like, what if this doesn't work out? What if I get to a certain age and I'm stuffed? But I think you got the will. You'll make it work in some way, shape, or form. Like the more you do this kind of stuff. Every single gig I do, every single session I go into, every single recording studio I work, every single producer I work with, and all that kind of stuff. You meet more people, you create better contacts, you discover new ways to generate income in music.
Yeah,
you know, whether it's through PRS royalties, whether it's through
you've got social media and stuff now as well.
Yeah,
you know? It's crazy.
Yeah.
There's
you
loads
know,
of
sponsorships, influencers. There are so many ways of generating income, and then if it really did get down to it, and I really needed to make a bit of money, then as you're saying, like there's always the option to to do session work as a vocalist in a wedding band, or because that you can make money through those like different kind of revenue streams. So, of course, it's something I worry about, but at the same time, I've proven to myself that I can already in the 2 years that I've been a quote unquote touring artist, even though I've technically never actually been on a full tour, but like done festivals and gigs.
And shit,
yeah. In those 2 years, as I was saying to you, like we've supported McFly, we've done one of the biggest stages at Belladrum, the Garden stage, before Jake Bugg. I know all Jake Bugg's band. I've got so many contacts in bands I love. Like some of Scotland's biggest bands. I've just I communicate with like their lead singers and stuff on Instagram, and I get guest lists to cool gigs at bars and things. These are, I know it sounds like I'm bragging or anything. It's not what I'm trying to do, but what I'm trying to say is like,
people, I always see that kind of stuff as you're not bragging. It's always experience. It's always a learning day. So you get in a guest list for a gig or something like that. You're not bragging. You're actually going there to learn.
Yeah,
meet,
network.
That's it, networking.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is like in those 2 years, I have proven to myself that I can get on a stage and play in front of 2,000 people or whatever, and I can also get offered guest lists to these gigs and things. It's if I can do that in 2 years, where can I get in the next? I don't know what year we're 2024. Where can I get in the next 6 years? Even if I'm not doing this full time, I love it enough that for the next decade, maybe a bit longer, I don't mind if I'm having to work part-time in a supermarket delivering shopping every now and then.
Yep.
Sure, if I want to start a family in years to come and I've got a partner, and then that's something I have to deal with at the time.
Yeah,
but
you've got ages.
Yeah.
Cross that bridge when you
exactly.
get there.
But I know
man.
that when I'm, settling down, and if I've not made this work, and I know that if I'm ill and I'm old and I'm dying or whatever, I know that I'll know that I've tried and I've done this, and that's all you can do. That's all you can say. And I remember when we did that YPI, the Perth concert gig in front of 1,600 people, I was like, it doesn't matter what happens. I can always go, I did this. Yep. I've done that. I've had that feeling. I've experienced that thing. This was what I dreamed of doing when I was younger. And it's what I still dream of doing now.
Yeah.
I'm proud of myself, and I'm proud of the people I work with. I'm proud of the band I play with. I'm proud to have done this, and I'm grateful for my parents. I'm grateful for my past partner for being there for me throughout so much. I'm grateful for so much, and I'm proud of myself for getting to where I am. And I think I can keep on doing it.
So we've jumped about however many years forward.
I know, sorry, man.
That's all good.
I'm a rambler, by the way.
I think it was me that kind of ended up going on a bit.
Do you want to talk about Sam Smith again?
No. No, so you said obviously it was your dad and your mother's. They're quite big influences on you. And you started talking about you played the guitar the opposite way around.
Yeah, the wrong way around.
So when did you start learning guitar?
Never had guitar lessons.
Your dad plays guitar, You just learn off him, don't you?
No, we would have had fights. A lot of fights, yeah. That would never have been a great idea, but he was there to kind of like tell me what to get and help me get certain things and advise me on what equipment I should and shouldn't have, at a certain age.
I think that's maybe more important than actually teaching you chords, because you could go out, you could be great on the guitar, but if you buy the wrong equipment, that could mess you up more than hitting the wrong chord, I've known that from the little things I've done in my own house.
Yeah.
You buy the wrong equipment, it will fuck you up.
Yeah.
It will fuck you up.
Yeah. But, exactly. I guess there's a slightly odd order for me, is like the way I kind of started. Like I was put into, my mum wanted me to do piano lessons for a while. I was up for it at the beginning. I was doing piano lessons. I was so bored because all I wanted to do was as soon as I knew how to make a few chords, then I just wanted to write my own songs. I didn't want to learn Karma Police or Life on Mars, as much as they're awesome songs, by the way. I didn't want to learn. I wanted to write my own stuff.
Was your dad a big Bowie fan?
Yeah, I am as well. But I think it's that was more the grades were telling me I had to do those songs. Like, so I kind of fairly quickly figured out I wanted to write my own stuff. I didn't.
Before you go on, that's what I should have said. Sam Smith is just a shit version of David Bowie.
You think?
Yeah, he's just a shit version of David Bowie.
I don't think I can speak because I just haven't listened to enough Sam Smith or watched enough Sam. But
with the image and all that, no one beats David Bowie.
Oh, no one could ever beat David Bowie though.
No one. Although I did say that to my missus recently, because I jokingly take the piss out of the music she listens to.
Right.
So she listens to Taylor Swift and she loves Harry Styles.
Legend.
And as much as I pretend to be like, oh, they're shite.
Yeah.
They've got a few tunes.
Yeah, of course.
They do have a few tunes. And this, I do like a controversial opinion, actually. I've been known to have a few controversial opinions. And I will say this, and tell me what you think of this. Harry Styles, in this day and age, is the closest we'll ever get to another David Bowie. The appearance, the way he gives himself off, he kind of keeps himself to himself, but he doesn't at the same time. I think he's very mysterious as well, Harry Styles.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, Harry Styles is just an example of like, someone that's become a god-like icon kind of thing. To he is to some people like the definition of like horniness. Like I want that. So many like girls just would do anything to.
Oh, my missus, she showed me phone clips from when she went to go and see him, and it's just women.
Yeah.
It's just women.
But that's I should have probably said that like a bit further down, like because of course he writes banging tunes, and I really like Harry Styles.
He's one of the only few, right? I was kind of talking about this with Cryptic before you came in, and we were talking about the charts and stuff like that, and I just think everything just seems a bit, I don't know if it's my age or what, but everything just seems the same. I couldn't tell you who was who, but see if you put a Harry Styles tune on, I'd be able to tell you, oh, that's Harry Styles. He kind of sticks out, and obviously it's his band and his production team and whoever he's got in the studio is helping him do that, but he's got a specific sound that when it does come, I'm like, oh, I know who that is. And it's good as well.
Yeah.
It's good. And I don't mind admitting that. If his fan base is all women, I'm happy to admit it.
But you know what? I don't think it is actually. It would be easy to think that, but then when you go to the gigs,
Harry Styles fans.
Oh yeah,
there'd be hundreds of them out there. Hundreds of them.
100%. I mean, it's an interesting thing to think about, and I'd have to think about it a bit more about him being like a version of David Bowie. Obviously, David Bowie, half of what he did, he was a character. It was a it was a character basically. That was it. Like he wasn't outside of performing. He wasn't David Bowie. Was he? I forgot what his real name was, but David Bowie was his stage person, his persona, and then like Ziggy Stardust was like another, of course. And
that's it. It's like every album was different, but they were equally as amazing. Like it's weird. So he kind of changed the game. So every album that he would bring out for the years that followed until he'd bring out a new album, everyone would be trying to catch up with that last album he done. And by the time that he's released a new album, everyone's miles behind him. It's like Dr. Dre with hip hop. If you go back and listen to any beats that he produced back in the 90s and the early 2000s, whatever song he produced, you'll hear all the other songs that came out about at the same time trying to sound like that.
Yeah.
But by the time he released the next one, everyone else sounded ancient.
Yeah.
And he just kept reinventing it.
Yeah.
And I don't agree so much with that now because a lot of hip hop just sounds the same, unfortunately, to me. Well, the mainstream stuff does. But that's all about reinventing the wheel, as they say, or whatever the saying is.
Yeah.
Changing the game.
Yeah.
But I
No, that's all right. Love Harry Styles.
I ended up going off on one there. You were saying that you were learning guitar.
Yeah, started learning piano. Decided I didn't really want to do it the way that I was kind of being led down that, like grades and stuff. I did a couple grades, found it really stressful. So eventually stopped doing that. And I guess that knowledge of like a piano is kind of like your visual representation of like the possibilities of chords and things, because it's all there. You know, it's like on the keys are right in front of you. So as soon as you can kind of like look at a keyboard or a piano and know what the keys are and understand like a very basic level of like theory, like very basic. My theory is pretty bad, but of a very basic level of theory, then you can kind of start coming up with the chord sequences and like inversions of chords that make things sound slightly more interesting, slightly nicer. And I just played around with stuff, and eventually picked up a guitar and actually started trying to make chords out of it. My dad showed me the first few basic chords, you know, and then I just started, making shapes that even my dad couldn't tell me exactly what that chord was, but it was something, and it sounded nice. And that kind of just defines all the music I write. I couldn't, sure, if I sit down and think about it for 10 minutes, I could, but if I were to sit here with a guitar, write a song, and try and make something sound pretty and nice, I would try different chords, shapes and things. I probably couldn't tell exactly what all the chords they were, or the exact. I could maybe tell you what the root was of the chord, but I couldn't tell you whether it was a D sus9 or something.
Right, that's the same as me. Like, so in my house, I've started getting into making like hardcore tunes. So early 90s sort of dance, hardcore with the break beats and stuff like that. Early Prodigy. I really like that kind of music. And it's easy to do in your house, so it's good to pass some time. And that's exactly what it's like. So I'll have a keyboard there and I could play, but if someone said, oh, what's that note? I wouldn't be able to tell you. As long as it sounds good and it fits in with what it is you're trying to do, and do you really need to know?
Yeah.
And that all that kind of chat bores people to death anyway. You know, I've heard musicians talk about suspended chords. What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
It's got no interest in it whatsoever. It's obviously it's handy to know, and you know it will get you somewhere one day. But as long as it sounds good.
Certain people need to know these things. Certain people like this. The guys that come in and do session work for me. Fuck me! Every sip I take, I'm burping away. Jesus Christ!
It's all good.
Yeah, the guys that come in and do session work for me, the last two guys, anyways. Sam Layton plays with Vista's father-son. He tours the world like with the band he does. He is making it work. He's a definition of someone that's making it work. So poor guy had to come play with me, and he's sitting there, like in the moment, writing the music out. Like as I describe what changes to make and things, he's like, right, okay, that's what I do. That for him,
that's a crazy level.
Yeah, but it's so good, like because he can then just immediately play it.
Yep.
I can't do that, and So that's like that's the other end of the spectrum where it becomes handy. Because like, sure, as we're talking about, like, I don't need to know exactly what the chord is. All I need to know is it sounds nice and it plays well and it works and and people enjoy listening to it. But for him, if he's coming in and playing with like 5 artists in the space of 2 weeks, it's handy to be able to know your shit. But
yeah, that's next level.
That's
crazy level. I mean, I think anyone who is into music, playing it, that's the sort of level you should aspire to.
Yeah.
To get to, because is that borderline genius?
I mean, I would call it that, but yeah, I would. But that's probably because if he's borderline genius, I'm flat out thick.
Don't bring yourself down like that. It's not that bad. But that takes years of perfection. Like that'll be something you'll probably find that it'll be those little things you pick up as you go along. Yeah. So maybe in 10 years' time, that's what you'll be able to do. You probably will be able to do that, or how it might take you a short amount of time.
Oh no,
it's one of those things as you learn as you go. I mean, it'd be a great thing to have. Being able, that's actually crazy when I think about it.
Oh,
I could never get to that level, and I'm more than content and happy knowing that I would never get to that level.
No, me too. Actually, really, me too. Because one thing I would love to do. I love John Mayer. I absolutely love John Mayer. You know John Mayer?
The name rings a bell.
He's probably one of like the most famous guitarists of this kind of generation. He's written songs that you would definitely know if you heard them.
Like?
If you heard them, so you know Slow Dance in a Burning Room? Oh, it depends. It depends, I guess, what type of music you really listen to. But a song called Gravity.
Gravity?
Oh, gravity is taking a hold of me.
No.
You know the song Free Fallin'? Because I'm free. Yeah, that's by Tom Petty. That's not John's song, but he did a cover of it that is probably now streamed more than Tom Petty's version.
Oh, really?
I think you'd recognize his face. He's gone out with like Taylor Swift, and he's been like,
so she would have made an album about him. Then,
yeah. She's got a song called Dear John.
Oh God! You make it any more obvious.
I know.
I take the piss out of my missus for that all the time because one of my favorite actors is that Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh yeah,
and he used to shag Taylor Swift. And
good on him.
I'm like that fucking ass.
Lads.
That's it. Always talking about Jake Gyllenhaal. Never gives him a break, eh? Never gives him a fucking break. He's a good lad, him.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about Taylor Swift in that department. Like, there's times I go into the living room and my bird's like sitting on the couch crying her eyes out watching Taylor Swift on. She's got the show on Disney Plus with a whole concert on it.
Oh,
it's like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And I'll go in and she's just sitting there crying, listening to it.
Yeah.
And she's asked me a few times, like, "Oh, what do you think about like Taylor Swift and that? Like, would you?" I'm like, I don't know. Like,
oh God, man, that's a question you don't ever want to have to answer in front of your partner, though, right?
Oh no, we're open. Oh, we're open.
Fair.
Oh no,
okay.
no, we're open. Like, I know if she had the chance to shag Harry Styles,
she would. Same.
And I'm not like one of those cucks. I don't like that kind of what would you call it? Culture. What would you call that? Those kind of people.
Well, cucks, probably.
Yeah, that lifestyle.
Yeah,
is what I meant. I don't like that lifestyle. But we've got our free passes. So hers is Harry Styles, and mine's is. Did you ever watch wrestling when you were younger?
You mentioned it a few times, and I've started to get really worried that I'm like gonna be called out as like something that I know nothing about. Well, Grado. I know Grado.
Oh yeah, from Glasgow. No, well there was a bird. There was a diva who used to be a wrestler for WWE/WWF back in the day called Trish Stratus.
Okay.
Holy fuck!
Right.
Posters of her all over my wall. So that's my free pass.
Okay.
If I ever get to meet her, I mean, she'd done an appearance in Glasgow not that long ago, and I was tempted to go, but I was like, nah, I'm not gonna go.
No?
Nah, because I knew I wasn't going to get my hole, so what's the point? It would have just been a hi. I used to wank over you when I was like 12-year-old. Like, what's the point? It's fucking pointless. It's absolutely pointless.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm sure she'd have been flattered, to be honest. Like,
nah, I don't know. I've heard horror stories of some of these like wrestlers, like the divas from back in the day, going to like conventions and meeting fans who are probably my age, and like some of them have been like, "Oh, can you spit in my mouth?" And I would never.
Oh my god,
I wouldn't do that.
Fucking hell.
You know, and the thing is, like, you want to make her feel comfortable, eh? You don't. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't want to say anything out of order. You know.
Yeah, I doubt. Asking if she could open her mouth is going to make her particularly comfortable. Yeah.
Well,
bring her a cum stain poster and ask her to sign it or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be ideal. But
I remember when it came to the time of taking the poster off my wall, it was like rock solid. It didn't roll up or fuck all. It was rock solid.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, I can't say I've got anything like that to tell you, really. Yeah. Who would I? Oh God, do you know what? It's really embarrassing because like, it's not embarrassing actually, but I've never really had a celebrity crush that's like a singer.
Right.
It's really, have I got any? Shut up, phone. I don't think I've got anyone. Sorry, man. I feel like I've as you were saying all that, I was like, I've got to come up with something here.
No. The problem I had, like when I was younger, so I've always liked music, or I've always been aware of music. And like my knowledge of it is quite mental. Like, so if there's a music quiz in the pub,
all right,
I'm usually the first person that gets the phone. You need to come down here, right? Cool. I'll try and help you out. 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s. That's my era.
Yeah.
But my brother, he was right into music for a really young age. He was like obsessed with Britney Spears, so he had like Britney Spears posters on his wall, and then obviously later found out he was. Well, it's horrible to say found out. We always knew he was gay, but it was always women that he would have and listen to.
Right.
So see, like the early 2000s when it came to Birds, holy shit, man, some of them were fit.
Yeah.
Stacey Oricchio, like Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, loads of them. Amy Studd, she was another one.
Yeah.
Loads of them. So I don't know, just exposed to it the whole time.
Yeah.
So he's looking at for like, oh, I love this music. And I'm like, I would fucking bang her. Oh, she's stunning, blah, blah, blah. And then later on in life, I got right into music. Where I looked beyond the beauty. And kind of understood it. And then it was like a case of like, I would ask my mum or dad, like, oh, what was that tune you used to play when I was younger all the time? And they'd be like, oh, Stone Roses, blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, oh. Then I got right into it. Metal and stuff as well. My family didn't listen to that as much, but I got right into metal.
Yeah.
But it's good to have an open mind when it comes to music.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way. Like, see the amount of people I've met with like my friend groups and stuff like that throughout life, and it's like, oh, I only listen to metal. And if you listen to anything that's not metal, then you're a poser. I'm like, really? Does that make you a poser? I'm sure I can listen to Megadeth and Britney Spears. Like, why do they need to be separated?
Yeah.
And, you know, Britney Spears is like an icon now, isn't he?
Yeah.
She's cutting up knives and videos in her fucking house and that, like an absolute nutter.
Really? Jesus Christ.
You not seen all the videos she was releasing?
No. Oh my God, mate. I'll be honest with you. Uni ruined Britney Spears for me.
Oh, how?
Sorry to be boring as fuck like this, but because they got us all in at the beginning of first year. And they're like, right, here's a video of what is our like most famous song?
Hit Me Baby One
More Time, yeah. And it's like the video is like she's sat in like class or whatever, school
uniform.
Yeah, and you know where this is going really. They you know they're telling us to watch it all, and they're like, and the lecturer, who's an absolute legend by the way, he turns and he like looks at us and pauses the video and is like, right boys, who needs a second? And obviously everyone giggles, fucking laughs, and the big guy's like, yeah.
Did no one actually stand up and leave?
No.
Poor light.
No, there's a few at the back though, obviously. In the set. Who and then had to zip themselves back up when he says, by the way, she's 15 in this video. And that's like, we had a whole kind of like project on misogyny and things, which is, it was fucked up. You know, obviously she was absolutely exploited for her looks.
Oh,
as
they
a
all,
15-year-old
yeah, but they
girl. It's
all
like,
are.
Yeah.
They all are. Justin
course.
Bieber. He's
Yeah.
another one.
Oh, I know, man. Recent times.
Michael Jackson when he was younger as well, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So I always feel a bit like nervous talking about, like, because of that. Like, he properly called us all out.
Yeah.
Properly called. He's like, but so who's like, oh, by the way, she is 15 in this video, and everyone's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And then the girls were like, yeah, I know. Yeah, we knew. Yeah.
But the thing is, back then it was very, very popular that you'd see younger people like that getting pushed into the mainstream. Like, who was that duo? Crisscross. They were like young boys,
Right.
and their gimmick was they used to wear the trousers the wrong way around, but they were like a hip hop
Right. Okay.
duo. I don't think there's ever been a documentary out about them, but that would be a good one, because I feel like, as dark as this is, I feel like just because of how young they were at the time, you just know there was some nonsense going on behind the scenes. Yeah. There was someone taking advantage of them, whether they knew or they didn't at the time. But I mean, it goes even further than that. Like, you know, bands like East 17, a lot of the UK sort of pop around that time. Now you find out that they all got exploited.
Yeah.
To fuck. And some of these bands had number ones, multiple number ones, touring the world, and now they've not even got a pot to piss in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where did all the money go?
Yeah.
The money just disappeared. And, you know, who was it? There was someone in one of those bands. Was his name Brian Harvey? He was married to, I think he was going out with that Kerry Katona at one point.
All right.
And
She not like, is she alive?
She was in Atomic Kitten. She's alive, yeah.
Did she not get
alive.
like really drugged up or something? Like,
Yeah, she's like one of those. She does like fucking. She used to do Iceland adverts and stuff. I don't know what it is she does now.
Right.
But anyway, this guy, I believe it was in East 17 he was in, and they had like one of the biggest number one Christmas number ones ever. This guy since then has now made a YouTube channel exposing the industry of what he went through at the time.
Right.
And it's crazy to see the nick of his house and the state that he's in, considering how big that group was.
Yeah.
And he says, like, where's all the money? He says we would go on tour, and then at the end of it, we would have nothing. He said we would have a nice house to go to, but we couldn't go out.
Yeah.
It's like we'd just done all our socialising on the road, which there's no right. You need to come home and have fun with your pals and stuff like that, you know? But the music industry back then was like, well, you're on the road with your pals and this is your family. It's like they try and brainwash you, and they fuck these young boys up. And I think now we're at the stage, like you were talking there about the misogynistic views and stuff like that. And yeah, fair enough, it goes on. But I think now we are at the stage now where these people are now being exposed.
Yeah, of course.
For it, and it's really coming to light, and rightfully so as well. And I just kind of hope that some of these bands and artists from back then get a bit of money for it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, some of the greatest songs written, as cheesy as they may be, how have they not got the money to survive and be able to live now when they wrote some of the, whether you like it or not, some of the biggest songs of, well, my generation anyway, because you're a bit younger than me, it's kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah. I think a lot of it's just like the age of a lot of these people when they were offered these big contracts, you know, the naivety that would have been involved with so many of these kids or teenagers that were good looking and therefore kind of easy to like objectify as you know, sell merch and bring in crowds of kids that adored them for their looks and things. It was easy to kind of like brainwash, as he said, like these people, like teenagers, and by offering them this, we'll tour you, we'll get you, you'll be playing huge venues, you'll be swarmed by people just obsessed with you, you'll get this amount of money, you get this, you'll get that
as well. It's the drugs, giving them drugs and stuff like that as well.
Yeah,
you know, like that is to me, it's disgusting.
But when you've got a certain amount of money coming in, if you're getting like these kind of settlement fees that they would have been offered, you know, I mean, I'm talking about these things as though it's fact. I don't know the behind the scenes of a lot of it all, but let's just, like, for example, again, don't know the story really behind it that much, but you could tell, One Direction got like taken on was it X Factor or whatever.
Yeah.
You could see how creepy a lot of that was. I don't remember which of the women. What was it?
Oh, was it Cheryl Cole?
I think
Did
it might have been.
have a thing for one of them, eh?
Yeah, it was fucking horrible. It was weird.
It's like live paedophilia getting shown to you on the TV, eh? It's horrible.
So you wonder what kind of things happened there, but it's great that that Harry and the rest of them are making successes of themselves outside of that. But you do wonder what kind of stuff went on there. But again, the contracts they were offered, who knows what the splits were? But I guarantee you, they were getting far less than 50% of the royalties. And then you got to divide that up between them all.
Yep.
And then they'll all have maybe they didn't. Well, they do now, but who knows what their individual management deals were.
It's inevitable that they're going to split up. Hey, that's the problem.
Yeah.
With them. But then the beauty of it is you ride it to the death till you realise, or one of you realise, I could actually make it on my own.
Yeah.
Disband the band, split up, go your separate ways, and then like 10, 15 years later, come back as a nostalgia tour and fucking make a fortune.
Yeah.
It's like what Oasis have just done.
Yeah. But splitting up and going solo, that is a risk though, that luckily for them paid off. But that could have gone really wrong.
This is the thing. The issue I have with folk going solo, right? And as great as it is for them, and they've got fans among the world, all over the world that adore them, right? That will follow them and do whatever it is that they do, right? I've said this for years about Liam Gallagher and Noel Gallagher. If they weren't in Oasis, no one would care about their solo stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of feel like you're cheating your way into it when I feel like you've got someone like yourself sitting here who's legitimately trying to break through. They've had an easy way into it. So they've done the hard stuff while they were in the band, right?
Yeah.
Fair enough for that. It's no easy to break through, right? They've done that, and then they've become the biggest band in the world, and then gone off and done solo stuff and acted like, oh, this is a piece of piss. Anyone can do it. No, not anyone can do it, because the only reason why you're in that position now is because you were in one of the biggest bands in the world. If you came along out of the blue, no one would care about you.
Yeah.
You've got that banner of, I used to be in the biggest band in the world over you. That's the only reason why you are where you are now.
Well, those two particularly Noel now, makes himself known to just slander so many modern artists. And it's like...
No, because you were saying about Noel Gallagher.
Yeah,
the way he talks about other people.
Yeah.
You're not a fan?
Right. Let me preface this by complete and utter respect for Oasis, obviously, because of what they did. I'm just not into the whole, like, I don't think my guess is they aren't really dickheads, and they're a lot of the time it's just the act. And fair enough, because that's what's gained so much success for it. So fair enough, and I understand why they're doing that. I can't really gel with it, but I respect it, and I understand why so many people love it. I just find it so cringy when I'm like faking being a hard man. Oh, come over here, man. I just like going out to press and stuff. But, I just want to see someone knock him out and be like, "Fuck off, mate." I take it.
Have you seen a lot of videos like resurfacing recently? Obviously, because of them reforming.
Yeah.
So you've seen a lot of the stuff that's come out from the past.
But I've seen that of course, and I've seen that for. But you see that before they've reformed as well, and like Noel, to go back to like talking about other people, I'm proud of myself for getting this far into the pod without mentioning like my biggest inspirations are like the 1975. I love them so much. The show, the music, just everything about them. I love it. And Noel, I remember, had a right pop at My Healy or something.
Yep.
And his arguments for it all was just such bullshit.
What did he say? I've watched loads of interviews where he's taking a dig at people, so it's hard to remember.
He just called it shit music, and I was like, but mate, like, have you listened to like the stuff that you guys did when you were starting out, and when you guys were even doing some of your biggest gigs? How shit you were live, like how awful your singing was. You were big because you'd made some bangers, but live you were shit at times. Oasis 100%. Obviously had some unbelievable shows and some unbelievable gigs, and I'm certain that this tour is going to be a success. Some people talk about, oh, this has potential to go wrong. This and that. I don't think it's gonna. I think it's gonna be huge.
Oh, it's gonna be massive.
I think they're gonna smash
it.
It.
Tour ever.
I think they're probably gonna play better than they've ever played before.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll be huge. It'll be unbelievable. But it's just like, the business. You know how hard it is to be in a band. Now, this is something we didn't talk about earlier when we were talking about solo artists and stuff. But it's so much harder to be in a band because you've got to find a group of people that work well together
and can dedicate their whole time and life to it.
Work on the same page, and both, like, you got to have an even split of like wanting it. You can't have just one person trying and the rest just riding along. So for the band to be successful, there's so many elements that have got to go right and so many things that have got to be worked through and fought through. So no wonder that they split up. Two aggressive, fucking full of testosterone bastards from Manchester or whatever. Of course that they split up, but like, come on, the 1975 to go on about them, and then he throws pops at anyone, anyone that doesn't call him a god. But I know it's an act as well. So mate, I'm just contradicting myself.
There's a bit of me because I love Liam Gallagher. Out of the two of them, he is my favourite because I feel as if them as a whole probably the last real rock and roll band, not just with the music, but how they are off the stage as well. So when you've seen all those videos for back in the day of like, the one that always springs to mind with me is the one with Liam Gallagher. He's outside a hotel. It's probably in London or New York, and he's squaring up to that photographer.
Yeah,
I'm 100% on his side with that.
Right.
Because I'm old enough to remember how much Vulture like the press were then. Yeah. So they were following these people around like crazy. And it does get to a point where you do just snap and you're like, I've had enough of this. It's like what happened with Britney Spears, shaved her hair off. Back then she was getting called a psycho, a freak. Now it would be, we need to look after her mental health, take care of her. How the times have changed. So when I've seen the videos of not just Liam Gallagher, but other celebrities at the time fighting out against the press, I was always 100% with it because they were bastards. Yeah, of course. The press were horrible.
And I understand snapping like that. Everyone's got a breaking point. And if people are being like, Chapel Roan, not Chapel Roan is like the biggest thing at the moment. She's this like, she's just big on TikTok and everything, and everyone's like obsessing over. She's I don't know if she is oh my god, this is so bad that I don't want to get it wrong, but she's a drag queen, a female drag queen, I think.
Was this like one of these non-binary people? I think I've seen this person. Did she not just pick up awards or something recently?
She probably did,
because I've seen loads of people on my Instagram posting about.
She is probably one of. She is probably the current biggest artist, and well deserved. She's got some pretty cool tunes, but she kind of struck out a photographer that said something to her at an award show recently, said something just not needed. I can't remember what it was, but I can't remember what. But she just snapped and she was like, just said, don't fucking speak to me like that, and don't tell me to do this or do that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but that was well deserved. But I think the reason I kind of had a bit of a thing about the Gallagher brothers is just like, fair enough, you snap, but like, it felt like Liam Gallagher in particular was always trying to be that guy, was always just trying to be, and I think it's just because I'm just not that kind of person.
But the thing is as well, like, from his point of view, it would hard not to be like that when your idols were the Who and your idols were the Stones, and you seen what they got up to when they weren't on stage, because they weren't saints.
No,
these people weren't saints. They were out shagging, taking drugs, fighting, trashing hotel rooms and stuff like that. That's his idols. And I feel like if I ever got to a certain stage, if I was in a band, who's my idol? Liam Gallagher. Yeah. So if I was out and about and I seen press, I'm going to noise them up.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to a bar and I'm going to drink as much as I can and turn the place upside down.
Yeah.
Is it an act? I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure it's a bit of both.
I think there's a part of it that's you're going to play into it a bit more because it's one of those things, the press are there. So they could potentially switch something and give you some, I don't know, recognition for something, whatever it is you're doing. So you can kind of play them, or you could back then anyway.
Now you're playing more like trolls on Insta and stuff. Like you're playing with like the people that are gonna hate on you on Instagram.
Yeah, I mean it's all a bit different now. But like, I don't know. Change days.
I've got so much respect for them, and I think it's just I'd love to be able to be a rock star that didn't really think about the way I am towards folk and could just be a bit of I don't know, just a casual bell end that just went around.
It's different generations now as well. That's the thing. And like, I mean, I don't mean any offense to anyone younger than myself, but I feel like it's a bit more softer.
I was gonna say I'm a soft pop boy.
Like no, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just mean like the mentality of people nowadays. I feel like there's a sort of like sheet over them where they want to say something but they can't because they're too feared of the backlash of whatever they may say because it might not agree with the certain thing of what's going on now.
Yeah, of course.
Whereas I feel like if you came out with me to the pub with my pals, you may hear things and you might think, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You can't say that nowadays.
It's the same with everyone though, isn't it?
Like times do change, and it doesn't necessarily make that person bad or good. I think every generation that comes, they try and change something as they go, and they'll always be looked at by the generation before them as these are a bit soft, these are a bit weird. You know what I mean? Like, and there's no insult in that.
Of course not.
Every generation's try to change for the better, but for every positive, there's a negative, and for every negative, there's a positive. You know what I mean?
Of course. And the reality is, like, I don't think Oasis, if they started now, would work. Like, you can't.
If they said half the shit they said back in the day, they would be cancelled in today's standards.
Exactly.
100%.
So it's impossible because, as you said, like when you go out to the pub with your mates, like, I mean, I've got good mates. None of us are bad people at all. But we make jokes here and there, but never to anyone or being mean to anyone or really particularly about anyone. But you make shock factor jokes amongst your mates in your circle because you're like, this is never going to go out and hurt someone. I wouldn't ever deliberately do that. But when you're just with your mates, you can fucking have a laugh about really anything if you trust them. And the reality is you can't do that in public anymore. So I'd love to go on with you and talk more about like Sam Smith and what I really think about going on ITV and saying I'd love to be a fisher then. That's mental. I believe that's mental. But at the same time, I also know that because of the current like the fan base I do have, which isn't huge, but I do have a certain fan base, and the kind of age of them and a lot of
sensitive to things that you would say.
And I want them to know that I don't judge. I don't. Yeah. If you want to be what, I can't claim to always understand it because I am a straight white guy, and I will try and learn and understand people's feelings and their decisions, and I will do my best not to offend anyone. I will try, but I can't always understand it, and I want people that come to my shows to feel comfortable.
But this is the
accepted.
Thing. I think in this day and age, if you don't understand it, then it's like you can't really say anything about it. And if you do, you might not mean any harm by what you say, but there may be someone that will see something harmful in it. This is the problem, isn't it?
I think there's I genuinely think there's a real difference between the people that are doing this for not totally because this is genuinely who they are and how they feel or they want to experiment. There's a difference between them and then the people that are maybe doing it for a little bit for the wrong reasons. So I've had friends that have decided that they're wanting to experiment. They don't really feel right in their own skin. And if you say something to them, you call them a name, not call them a name like in a bad way, as in like you say their name accidentally wrong. Like I had a friend who decided they were trans, and that's a difficult thing if you've known someone for a long time to adjust to calling them the new name they want to be called. But they were okay with it because I'm trying and I respect them for their decisions. And so the people that are adjusting or experimenting or really don't feel right in their own skin, they will understand the people that don't feel the same way as them and are trying their best to therefore adjust their mindset or adjust the way that they behave to fit the person that is experimenting or whatever.
Right.
So I think it's like, if you respect people for their own decisions and they respect that you're trying and aren't going to like tell you off or freak out at you or get upset for you accidentally saying the wrong name or calling them the wrong gender or pronoun or whatever. Like I've got it in my head. I call people dude and man all the time.
Yeah, I do as well.
And there's some people that would be offended by that. And if someone's going to get offended by that and go to their room and text their friends and cry on the phone to or whatever about it, then that's difficult for me. But if they're going to come up to me and say, sorry, I really would rather you don't call me that. I'm sorry. Do you mind? And this is the reason why. Then fine. That's great. Thank you for being honest. And I will do what I can to make you feel comfortable in my presence.
See, I think that even though we've got just over 10 years apart in age, I feel like you live in a completely different world compared to what I did when I was your age.
But I feel like the world, even in 2 years, the last 2 years, 3 years, since I was midway through high school to now, has changed so much.
Yeah, it's great. I noticed it through COVID was the big turning point for me. During COVID, I seen some things that just absolutely shocked me. And these were people that I would have usually assumed would have been on the same side as me on the political side of things. And I quickly realized that what I believed was one thing is now completely shifted into a whole other dimension where I was like, I actually want nothing to do with what's going on now and the thing that I believed we were all part of.
Yeah.
Just some of the things that's come out during COVID, after COVID. I mean, obviously you can't say too much because you're an artist, and I certainly wouldn't want to put you on the spot and put you in any kind of danger because nobody deserves that. But just the way that the mentality of some of these people, they want to see people fail. It's like I don't know. I don't even want to say too much either because I know I've seen what happens to other people, and I'm nobody, right? You know, I've got a podcast, maybe 100 people watch it, fair dues. So, I mean, but it's the fact that nowadays I have seen people, they'll post something online and they may just be questioning something that's going on, and now they're getting 9 months in jail.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. And there's a sort of silencing that's going on that I don't agree with. There's a lot of things I don't agree with. We probably shouldn't talk about it because
that shouldn't be the way it is, and I don't.
It shouldn't be.
I don't think. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding as well about like laws. I remember when Jesus Christ, we really are getting political, but like when SNP were talking about like the laws of like speech and hate speech.
Hate speech.
But I remember folk being like, "Oh, you literally can get arrested now for accidentally saying whatever in a chat or in a group, and when you're talking to someone, or if there's a screenshot of you saying whatever." And that isn't it, and that was wrong. That isn't what the law was, and that there's a lot of just misunderstanding and miscommunication. The law was about harm, like being threatening and harmful on a if you were to message someone because they were gay and threaten them with death threats or something, because then that's what the law protects. But it doesn't. I
would say that one of the funniest things about that hate hate crime bill getting passed was Hamza Youssef. He was the number one person who got complained to about the police as soon as that got passed.
Yeah.
The amount of complaints that got put in about him was insane after his white speech in Parliament, which was absolutely horrendous. But the issue I have is, the thing is it doesn't go down on your, so you don't get charged with it, right? This is the issue I had with it. So you don't get charged with it, but it stays on your record, and it stays on your record as hate crime.
Mm-hmm.
When you think of hate crime, what's the number one thing you think of?
I mean, I would think violence.
Well, I would think of racism,
right? Yeah,
homophobia, or violence.
Violence towards those people because of who they are.
Where it could have been the complete opposite side. So if I'm doing a background, say I'm an employer, I'm doing a background check on someone, and it comes up hate crime. Those are the first things I'm going to think of. So I'm going to think, why am I going to want to employ these people? It's just the fact that it stayed on your record is the bit that freaked me out. Is almost like you've got a target over your head. And I feel like they're trying to. I don't know. I don't want to talk about it.
No, I know, man. I think it's just understanding quite literally where that comes in, though, because I don't think you would ever get done for that. For that law wasn't there to stop you from saying the things you're saying. That's to stop you from, like, let's say I come out tomorrow. I'm not gonna. Don't worry. But I say don't worry, like I think you're homophobic. But let's say tomorrow I said I'm gay. I've got a boyfriend, and you messaged me and said, if you don't take that back, there's no way I'm having you on a podcast. I'm gonna come and find you and threaten me with like knife or whatever. Like that's what that's protecting. It's not stopping you from talking about Sam Smith and saying you think he's a this or that for saying who he is or what he's doing. I think if you were to get charged for it,
no, but that's what I mean. You don't get charged for it.
Okay.
It stays on your record. So it is on your record.
Yeah.
It will always remain on your record under hate crime. So if an employee does do a background check, then it will show you're known to the police or you've been pulled up by the police, and there's a hate crime that's been committed. But what is a hate crime? You know, this is it. And when I think of hate crime, the first thing I think of is racism, homophobia, stuff like that. Really horrible things. Yeah. But it could be the complete opposite. Somebody could have just had someone could have literally heard you laughing about a joke. Or you could have made a joke. I could have made a joke in a pub, and someone could have phoned the police on me and said, he's made a joke, it was inappropriate, I don't like it, I took offense.
But that's what I'm saying is, this is what I researched at the time, because this is what my mates were telling me. That law wasn't, it can't do it on verbal communications between people. Mm-hmm. You couldn't get done or whatever, or taken, reported. You can get reported, but if you've just said stuff, even if you've said some horrible words that have been used in relation to gay people or this or that, or that wouldn't apply. This thing that was passed wouldn't apply to that. It was about being threatening, and making someone feel unsafe and being threatening. Now, I'm not politician, I don't know the ins and outs of it, so who knows, but the impression I got after, because I looked into it because I was interested, because I was like, well, is this about to cause like absolute turmoil? But they clarified it pretty quickly that
it's caused turmoil.
Of course it did.
It's caused turmoil. I mean, I have been on the receiving end of what would be classed as a hate crime, and when the police showed up, I felt like I was the person committing the crime. I got made out to feel like I was the person in the wrong. And I don't want to go into details because I never got in trouble or anything like that, but I was certainly made to feel like I was the person causing the trouble, where in reality it was someone chasing me with a machete. But because I feel like...
Mate, I've been chased with a machete, by the way.
It goes against their narrative of what a nutter should be in this day and age. Yeah, I was the one. I guess I fitted the bill of what a nutter should look like, and this person didn't for whatever reason. I feel like there was racism on the police part, and even though I said it was racism, I was then accused of being racist for that.
Right.
I tried to keep my calm. I did keep my calm, and I felt like yous are the police. You aren't doing what you should be doing. I have been threatened with a machete, and I'm the one being questioned and patted down and getting things taken out of my pocket and asking about my history and my life and that.
Right.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What? I'm the person that's just been potentially assaulted with a machete, and I'm the one that's getting spoken to by the police like this, while the other guy's standing there laughing. What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is.
That's crazy. I've got all on my phone. I've recorded the whole thing. And now any interaction I have with any police will be recorded for my own safety, because I just don't trust them. Just don't trust them. And it's crazy because in the camp that I was in before, it was like, oh, fuck the government, fuck the system and that. And I feel like now these people are almost working for the government. They are grassing our own people in. They're going against our own people. I don't know, man. Dystopian. Dystopian is the best word. But you've got your own people grassing you in for whatever reason. Whereas me, there's certain people out there that will see, oh, they believe in this politic wise, and people will say, oh, they're black or they're white. I just see everyone as people. You know what I mean? Everyone. I've got a mixture of friends. We've all got different of opinions on everything that goes on in the world. One of my best friends, we have got the complete opposite opinions on everything. But we sit down like normal people and we discuss these things and we chat these things and we debate, and at the end of it, shake each other's hand, have a shot, you're a good cunt, and just crack on with it.
Yeah.
See these people that want to divide each other. I don't believe in division. Even though we might not see eye to eye on certain things, I don't believe there should be a division. I believe that people should be able to sit down and talk about it, because the crazy thing is you will end up finding common ground. But the issue is, if you have common ground and then instead of one half of the country going to government and protesting outside, when you've got the whole of a city or a whole country going to government at once, then there's an issue. But at least if half of them go, then you can make the other half turn on them.
Yeah.
They're far right. They're far left. The government want that. They want the division. I don't think it's right, but that's what they want. And they've got people hating. I've seen crazy videos coming out in Glasgow of they're far right and they're far left and they're this and they're that. And it's like, if you just sat down, you'd actually find you have common ground in a lot of things. And if you took it to Parliament and you protested, they'd be gone. They'd be scattering. You chase them out, you know?
Yeah.
But that's a bit deep, and I apologise.
No, don't apologise, man.
I've gone well off, and I certainly don't want to put you in a horrible
it's all interesting stuff.
Situation.
It is, and I find it all really interesting, and I think to like, this is all kind of stuff I would love to like talk with you probably about, like, without the cameras rolling kind of stuff. Because, but I think the most important thing, if we try and take it slightly back more towards like music and stuff, is that
please.
No, it's is that what matters most, as you say, is like, if we sure everyone's got different opinions on everything. People experience different things in life. People come from different backgrounds. Of course, we've got different opinions. That's what makes the world go around. The world would be fucking boring if we didn't. But common ground amongst people with different opinions is what makes everything beautiful. So when we've got things like, if you go see Oasis, sure, certain bands stem from certain like political kind of ideologies and things, you know, like working class is probably like Oasis, you know, that's the idea. But let's be honest, they're rich as fuck now, aren't they?
Yeah.
So that doesn't really work. But everyone at that gig, sure, there'll be fights. There's Oasis gigs.
I want there to be fights.
But
I want carnage.
But people go along with a common kind of idea that they're going to go and witness and be a part of something amazing. And they're all there for that one reason. And that's what makes music so beautiful.
And that's the beautiful thing about music, isn't it?
That's what makes gigs, live music, which people don't go to enough unless it's Oasis. Or Taylor Swift.
I go to a lot of gigs, man.
No, I'm sure you do.
A lot of gigs, man.
That's not on yourself, but mate, there's too many people at my age, more so. Your kind of age, what do you say? You're like 25, 30?
No, 31,
30,
yeah.
30, okay.
Thanks for 25, though. I take that as a
That's
compliment.
all right, man. I meant it. I did. So, like, your age and probably for even up like 10 more years, 15 years, that kind of age range, there's so many more folk like that kind of age go to gigs regularly.
Mm-hmm.
Partially because you've probably got a slightly more steady income than the majority of 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
But, which I understand. But at the same time, I know endless 20-year-olds that will go out to a club twice a week and spend 15 quid on a ticket to the club.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's what you enjoy, fair enough. But I wish these people would try going to a gig at some point.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Just, there's something amazing about
The thing is like, I hope that the people that do that, like, obviously, live in the moment. If all your mates are going to the club, go to the club, that's fine. But see, when I look back, a lot of the times when I used to go to clubs, I feel like now, looking back, that they were shit. Like, they were absolutely shit. And I mean, the last time I went to a club, I felt like Jimmy Savile. As soon as I walked in, everyone looked about fucking 12 to me. I was like, I want out of here. This is disgusting.
Yeah. And you got chased out with a machete.
I just want to say, everyone was of age. It was a nightclub. I didn't literally feel like Jimmy Savile, but I was like, nah, I'm too old to be here. I just felt uncomfortable. The music was shit. The drinks, even though they were like £2 for a vodka and Coke, they tasted like shit. They didn't taste like vodka. They didn't taste like Coke. Just tasted like water. Just spend your money on a gig, man. Yeah. You can get tickets for gigs these days for £5. Like, there's been times I've been out with my missus, and we'll go out for something to eat in town in a restaurant or whatever, and we'll just be like that, right? We've had something to eat. What do you fancy doing? She'll be like, oh, well, go and get cocktails, and I'm like, oh, I quite fancy a gig. Just go online. Gigs in Edinburgh, gigs in Glasgow. I mean, we've seen a few crackers. That's how I got onto the band The Wits.
Yeah,
they were supporting a band called Dutch Flying Carpets or some nonsense like that. I'd never even heard of either of them.
Right.
Tickets were like £5. It was at the Wee Red Bar in Edinburgh.
Class. Oh, what a venue, man.
Amazing, eh?
Yeah, it's the best. In the Arts College.
Walked in, red stripe, in the cans, boom. The Wits came on. I was like, how have I never heard of these guys before? They look like the fucking Smiths and they sound like them. They're absolutely brilliant. And they were all like fucking 17, 18-year-old, man. Yeah. Honestly, just talent for that age.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. And I'm like, I would take that over a nightclub in this right now any day of the week.
Yeah.
Like, see if you said, right, let's go to the club, I'd be like, see you later.
Yeah.
I have got no interest. Give me a gig or a wee old man's pub with a jukebox or karaoke. I'm fucking ready to rock and roll, but not clubs, man.
And that's why I'll die a virgin. So I'm joking. No, but yeah, I agree, man. It's that live music is better than anything.
Plus, you like you say there. I know you were joking about dying a virgin and stuff like that, but if you're looking for a bird, is that not where you'd want to meet them at a gig?
Yeah,
because you know right away.
Yeah, you're right, man. Yeah.
If they're in a club, then you know that the body count is through the roof, and they'll probably be thinking the same about you.
Yeah.
And you want a respectable woman in this day and age.
Yeah, go find a whatever genre. Yeah, if you go into a genre of music, you know you're going to have a similar music interest or music taste.
Exactly.
Which is the most important thing, I think.
Exactly. The issue I had when I was younger, I was a fucking stud when I was younger. So when I used to go to gigs, I used to get a lot of attention. Not so much now. And if I do, I'm like, no, thank you.
So if you just
stay away from me.
After this, I'll just give you my notes app and you just write some advice just down. That'd be class, actually.
Trust me.
List of checklists.
A lot of my pickup lines now, if you said them now in a nightclub, you would get arrested.
Okay.
Or you'd get chucked in jail.
Okay. Right. Well,
you'd get chucked in jail.
I'll vet them before I use them then. How about that?
Right. By the way, you've been absolutely class.
Oh, thank you. This has been great.
We're going to have to wrap it up.
Yeah, that's chill.
We'll need to get you in for another one sometime because I think we got as far as you learning keyboard and we kept jumping from
got to about 8 years old, I think.
To here, to there, to there. Can you say to everyone watching, you've got tunes coming out, you've got gigs.
I do.
Where can they find you? Because we didn't even get into any of that.
That's all right. It's all good.
Shit.
It's been a busy summer, but it's kind of all quieting off a little bit, but I've been in the studio. I've got 2 new tunes and if I don't say so myself, if I do say so myself, whatever the saying is, they're banging. They're great. I've been working with Bruce Rental, who is a producer from Glasgow, and he is unbelievable.
I would advise folk listen to one of your songs. What's the name of it? It starts off quite gentle in that, but towards the end there's like a crescendo.
Would it be Tears, maybe?
It came out this year.
Treat You Better. I've got This Town.
This Town.
Oh, right,
That's it. This Town. That's the one that's quiet at the beginning, and then at the end, the crescendo, all the band coming together.
Yeah. So I've got 2 tunes that came out this
one.
year that were also produced by the same guy. So that's kind of, we'll talk about this another time, but it's all, if you see on my Spotify, it really is a progression from really not very good to getting really all right now.
Yep.
You know, I'm proud of the stuff I've been putting out recently, and I've got a lot more on the way, and I'm working with loads of different people, writing with different artists that are far more successful than I am. But yeah,
you'll get there, man. You'll get there.
I'll keep on going. It's exciting. So new music on the way, and I've got a gig in Glasgow at Audio on the 18th. That's a headline. So you guys have got guest lists. You should come along if you're free.
I'm working.
You're working, man.
I wish I wasn't. 18th. That's a Friday, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I'm working. I get every Saturday off, which is just
busy, man.
And I get a long weekend every now and then on a Tuesday, Wednesday off here and there. But I'll see you tomorrow anyway. You're going to
be doing something.
Yeah, we don't know if you're playing or if you're just standing in front of a camera.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we'll do something.
It'll be something. But this has been a lot of fun, man. This has been really interesting. As I said, I listen to podcasts all the time. I'll need to start properly like watching this on YouTube because, it's been great fun.
Yeah, you might see some people that you've probably seen at gigs and stuff like that. And I recognise him, and you can reach out to them. And honestly, for the most part, everyone that's coming here has been sound.
Yeah,
and they've been more than happy to help each other out. I mean, even stuff with music that I do in my house, I've reached out to 1 or 2 people who've been in here before and been like, "Can you help me out? I'm stuck. I don't know how to do it, but I can explain what I want it to sound like."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, give me half an hour," and they'll come back and they're like, "Right, you want to do this and you want to do that," and it sounds like I want it to sound.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. That's what we were talking about earlier.
That's what it's all about.
Helping everyone out. Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Just be cool.
It's a community. I know it's a bit of a word. It's about community, but it is though. Like we rely on each other for helping each other out. We do, and that like this is a tricky business, and it's fucking difficult, and there's not a lot of money in it. But
dog eat dog.
Exactly.
Dog eat dog.
Exactly.
Where can people find you?
Spotify, Joe Goodall, Instagram, Joe Goodall Music, and I think it's the same on TikTok, Joe Goodall Music. I'm on Facebook as well. That's there so that my mum can keep up to date with what I'm doing. So if you're like my mum and use Facebook, then I'm there as well.
You need to get your mum in for the next one. Show some love, man.
Yeah, I know. She'll bring a flute. She doesn't know how to play it though.
I'll bring the synthesizer. You bring a guitar. She brings the flute.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, class.
We're cooking with gas. Right, we'll wrap that up if you're all good with all that.
I'm great. Yeah, happy. Love it.
Thanks for watching this episode of Ear Candy Podcast. We've had Joe Goodall here. He's been absolutely dynamite. I suggest you go and check him out, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you later. Bye-bye.
Whoop.